fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
It's time to get ready for our 5th annual Stock Up event on March 3rd from 10 a.m. to 2. Don't miss out on these exclusive savings, raffles, and Fisherman Source giveaways. We'll be featuring several local vendors, pro staff members, and most importantly, free food. Can't wait to see you guys there.
Ain't She a Beauty? 21 Classic from Steiger. That is our 2023 Dream Boat Award for the Fisherman magazine. It is here at the Atlantic City Boat Show, but we've got a 2024 Steiger Award to come. I'm Jim Hutchinson with the New Jersey Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine. It's Thursday, the 29th day of February of 2024, which means tomorrow, Friday, March 1st, the striped bass outback fishery here in the Garden State gets underway. Back bays, west of the inlets, creeks, canals, lagoons, and by all accounts, it should be a good one. Of course, winter flounder in the Garden State also opens on Friday, March 1st. Now, stripers should be stacked by the time you get back there, hopefully on Friday, to look for them. Based on all the reports we've been getting this winter from the white perch grounds, folks that are fishing along the rivers, the Hackensack, areas of the Raritan Bay and off the Raritan, some of those estuaries, you know what I'm talking about, the Toms River, the Mullica, the Great Egg, up around Tuckahoe, and of course down along some of the tributaries along the Delaware Bay, even down into Delaware. Now, you got to keep in mind, New Jersey closes that back bay fishery in January and February. Delaware doesn't. I heard from Colin Krishner a couple of weeks ago. He had about 9 fish, 9 stripers along the Delaware side. Did have this one keeper, 28 to 31 inches. Again, 28 to 31 inches is the fish that you're gunning for if you want to take something home for the dinner table. We cannot keep those smaller ones right now. We can't keep those bigger ones. 28 to 31 inches. That's on tap starting Friday all over the place. Now, winter flounder will typically get our first reports in the north area, northern Jersey areas, some of the areas around the Twin Rivers, the Shark River, along the bulkheads down into Manasquan and along Bayhead. I remember fishing for winter flounder as a kid behind Long Beach Island. I just don't think a lot of folks are out there getting it done, but that is a great way. The late Milt Roscoe, what a wonderful guy, showing that you can catch some of those blackbacks from shore. Now, if you head over to thefisherman.com, select species at the top there, and then you can go down to winter flounder. You'll find some tactical advice on gunning for a winter flounder if that's what you want to go for. In fact, Ed Masunis has a great article from about 3 or 4 years ago that appeared in the New Jersey Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine. Winter flounder, a sure thing. That'll give you all the advice you need to give that fishery a shot from shore as of Friday. Now, while you're out and about fishing on Friday and Saturday and Sunday, I'll be here. Atlantic City Boat Show. It's running today. It kicked off on Wednesday. It runs all the way through Sunday, of course. In just a few minutes, we'll run down some of the things you'll find here at the show. We'll talk about the March edition of the Fisherman magazine. That free copy is waiting for you this week at one of our 2 booths here in Atlantic City. But first, let's kick off the other big news that we have at the Jersey Shore right now, and that is the meeting next Thursday, March 7th, not far from here, Galloway Township. That's when we're going to get the first word on what our summer flounder regulations are for 2024. Now, in this month's edition, when we did the reports over the weekend, Delaware field editor Eric Burnley filled us in on what's happening in terms of the regulations in Delaware, in Maryland, in Virginia, I believe, as well. They're all the same. To start the season right out of the gate and through May 31st, it's a 16-inch minimum size and 4 fish bag limit, summer flounder, for those southern mid-Atlantic states. Then it's going to go to 4 fish at 17.5 inches as of June 1st. Now, the March edition of the Fisherman magazine, of course, I mentioned, is out. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. We don't have the updated regulations. We need to wait for all this stuff to get codified by all the states, so by the time April comes out, you'll know exactly what all the regulations are up and down the coast. Now, in New Jersey, the final fluke regulations will be debated, dissected, diluted, discussed, and eventually decided upon 5 p.m. at the Galloway Township branch of the Atlantic County Library behind the police station. That's on Jimmy Leeds Road. It's just east of exit 41 off the Garden State Parkway. Now, I've been getting eviscerated on social media, texts, phone calls, emails, smoke signal. The calls come in the middle of the night because of the thumbnail image that I used in last week's video that included SQ, status quo, as an option. But if you watched my video last week, here's what I actually said. You've got the SQ, that's status quo. That's not an option. That's really not an option. So yeah, the tease option that I used for last week's video included the SQ non-option. Even if status quo is almost always included in these regulatory discussions, because they show you what the 0% reduction will be, and then they show you the rest of them that have to amount this year for summer flounder to a 28% cut. So that SQ has always been there. It still is an option too. I mean, think back, 2017, Governor Chris Christie of New Jersey and his DEP Commissioner Bob Martin turned the tables on the whole ASMFC Mid-Atlantic Council process. They went down to NOAA Fisheries and said, the option that you gave us is not good for New Jersey and we don't want it. And guess what? They fought the law and the law lost. New Jersey did go. They got this out of compliance definition by ASMFC, but NOAA Fisheries said, no, they're not out of compliance at all. They're right. So it's always an option. It's always an option, as unpalatable as it might be, all right? But this is another first that I've seen. First time in my recollection that the state of New Jersey actually reached out to me in person and said, hey, I'm going to send you a new image. Can you run the new image? So we did. We ran the new image, and we're running the new image this week as well. So it explains how SQ is, quote, not an option. They even created a web page, the Division of Fish and Wildlife. They put it online, and a lot of folks in their email addresses also got a notification earlier this week about what the viable options were, and it also explained again, status quo isn't really an option. If you didn't get the email, then you might want to send an email to the address that's on the screen. NJ Marine Fish public comment at dep.nj.gov. Written comments, anybody that has a preference on what the summer flounder regulation should be for 2024, you have until Monday, March 4th to send an email with your comments. NJ Marine Fish public comments at dep.nj.gov. That's going to become a part of the public record for next Thursday's meeting, Galloway Township, 5 p.m., 306 East Jimmy Leeds Road in Galloway. Folks, next week in Galloway, that's a room that can hold about 100 people. All right, the New Jersey Marine Fisheries Council is expected to entertain all your preferences, but they won't consider status quo. I don't think so. But it's not that everybody wants status quo. If you want one of the options, you got to participate in this meeting. You can go to Galloway 5 p.m. next Thursday, March 7th. I'm also being told that there will be an online component as well. That's not going to be released, that link, until a couple of days before the meeting. I will share it on my Facebook page, on the Fisherman Magazine's Facebook page. Again, look for the email that you got from the state of New Jersey earlier this week, NJ Marine Fish public comment at dep.nj.gov. Now, I've posted some links, and as I get the links later on in the week while I'm here at the Atlantic City Show, I will post them to the YouTube comments here. But anything that you need to know, I'm going to try to share as much as possible in advance of next Thursday, and then I'll have a component in next Thursday's video as well. We'll talk more about the council and my entire fear and loathing at the process in a few minutes. But I got to tell you, as one of the media, one of the only media reps ever covering these fisheries meetings, I don't understand why our community is just being eroded. Give me a few minutes. Let's talk about some of the other things happening here in the region right now. We'll go back to that in a few minutes. Here in Atlantic City, the boat show, as I mentioned, runs through Sunday. All the seminars that are here, I'm in the seminar area of the boat show. It's right near 726, which is our second booth here with the Fisherman Magazine. The first one is at the beginning of the marketplace, 147. But over here is where the seminars take place. Myself and Phil from Goose Hummock right next door. He's got all the tackle that you're going to need from discussions that we talk about here. We've got tuna, we've got wahoo, we've got striped bass, trolling motors, tactics, sheep's head, you name it, we're covering it here. And of course, stop by the Fisherman's booth. I'll give you that free copy of the March edition that's out right now. Plus, we've got the Tsunami iPop Poppers and a $20 Shorehold Marine Products gift certificate for folks who get their new or renewing subscription here at the show. You wouldn't believe it. If you've been to us to see us at some of the earlier shows, we had the 4-inch Tsunami iPop Poppers. Well, we just got a brand new shipment in that we're giving away here at this show to subscribers, the 5-inch. This thing is big, bad, bold, and I can't wait to throw it in the back. Now, surfcasters in North Jersey, Monmouth County in particular, will descend upon the Berkeley Oceanfront Hotel this Sunday, March 3rd, the Asbury Park Fishing Club's 31st annual fishing show. It's the original plug show. That's being held from 9 to 2. It's across the hall, or across the road there, from the old Asbury Park Convention Center. It's at the Berkeley Hotel. Admission is $5. Look for the Fisherman magazine's Jenni Ackerman there, and some of the top plug makers along the entire Striper coast. They're all going to be there at this show. You can go to asburyparkfishingclub.com for details. Then right across town, across the border from Asbury Park into Ocean Township, don't forget that Fisherman Source event that we talked about last week. That is the Stock Up event, Sunday, March 3rd. It starts at 10 a.m. Special deals on plugs, lures. You'll find great savings on everything from gulp to plugs to rods and reels. It's all there, whatever you're chasing this season. Head over to Fisherman Source after you're done in Asbury Park and take advantage of even more specials. There's plenty more to talk about this weekend, several other local events, March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. But first, let's head back to the workbench this week with the Fisherman magazine's Jersey Shore resident rod tech, Jenni Ackerman, Open Boat.
Hey everyone, welcome back to this week's Open Boat. Now we are still here in the lab because we're continuing our winter workbench series, and today we're going to be talking about a very important factor that comes into rod building, reel seat selection. Now, of course, there's a ton of different options you can choose when picking a reel seat. Today I'm going to give you 3 options to the best reel seats that you have available on the market, specifically available on Angler's Resource. Now, these 3 are all Fuji reel seats, and each of them work well for different rods you want to choose and different applications. It depends on if you want a pretty sleek looking reel seat or ones that have colored inserts. Angler's Resource has it all. So starting off, I'm going to be talking about the Fuji DPS Deluxe. This is probably the most popular reel seat on the market. It's very common. You can see it all over the place on a ton of custom spec rods in your local tackle shop, all over the place. It's an excellent reel seat. It can be used for both casting and spinning, and it comes in many sizes to fit just about any rod or reel. So you can't beat that option. Next up is the Fuji TCH reel seat. This thing is lightweight carbon fiber. It is super sleek. It's nice and comfortable in your hand, even just holding it without a rod on it. It has a titanium enforced hood, so that also adds to that lightweight feature. And it has ribs. I don't know if we can see this here. Oh yeah, you can. It's got ribs inside the tube to create an incredibly strong epoxy glue bond to the blank. And that's a major important thing. If you're building your own rods, you want to make sure that you have enough epoxy on that reel seat so you don't have the reel seat and spinning on your blank as you're bringing in a fish. So maximum amount of glue and coverage on a reel seat is very important. Last up, we have the Fuji TVS, and you can see my eye through there. That is actually a compartment to fit different Fuji trim parts, and you can add different colored ones. They're all available on Angler's Resource. They're all Fuji compatible, perfect trim parts, and just adds a little bit of color. Like they have one that's black and red in case you have guide wraps that are all black with a red trim band. There's a ton of different colored options, so it just adds a nice little bit of flair to your reel seat. Like I said about all the other ones, it's super comfortable in your hand, and it has a dual lock reel system on here. So that dual lock holds that reel in very firmly. So All 3 of those reel seeds are excellent options, and you can find them all on Angler's Resource. So be sure to check them out, and I'll catch you on next week's Open Boat.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites.
I mentioned you'll get the March edition of the Fisherman magazine by stopping at the Asbury Park show on Sunday or coming here to the Atlantic City Boat Show all weekend. Hot off the presses with the final fishing reports coast-wide from the final weekend in February. February's over. Shortest month of the year. We're just about out of it. March Madness begins. But you'll see Dr. Adam Aguiar there on the cover with a river monster. Whereabouts unknown. Talk about a cat getting somebody's tongue. Adam doesn't talk about anything. But suffice to say, this is the time of year where their spawners are already headed up into the Chesapeake. And we're just about at the point where these residents and local striped bass in the Delaware and the Raritan and the Toms and the Mullet and the Gray, they start getting active and start coming up on into the shallows looking for a meal. Within a few weeks, we're going to get some of those ocean run fish as well. All right, so this is the kickoff this weekend, and it's all tied into everything that you're going to read in that March edition of the Fisherman magazine. Take a look at that table of contents there in terms of advice. I know where author Manny Butera is going to set up on day 1 on Friday, and I expect to see countless photos from the folks that are out there catching striped bass, whether they're keeping a 28 to 31 or just playing catch and release. By the time the Saltwater Fishing Expo kicks off in mid-March, I would then expect the shad run to have already started. I know the best of the fishery happens sometime in April, but shad arrive in March. Captain Jim Frieda has his salty spotlight on shad fishing in the Delaware in the March edition. Talk Tog with Jenni Ackerman. She's got an article on blackfish. And a true spot burn from Scott Newhall. It's not a spot burn. Everybody knows that the Raritan Bay has become a world-class fishery for striped bass every spring. He's got the rundown without burning your particular spots. Also, my good friend John Tiedemann has a great article in the glossy section on a history of stripers going back to colonial days and the revolutionary times. John Redcoles has an article about the oyster industry in New Jersey. John Raguso's offshore primer, everything that you need to know to get geared up for this offshore season ahead. Andrew Ortiz, a cool blackfish piece, really cool retrospective, a special trip that he had. Also, how to bring that old stick back to life with Matt Broderick, and another plug feature by Dave Anderson. That magazine is packed. 5 features in the glossy, 5 in the local section, all the reports, news, calendar, events, and my editorial rant for the month of March. Honestly, when it comes to figuring out America's fish, is it shad, which was enjoyed by President George Washington, or was it striped bass, as John Tiedemann lays out in going back colonial times through revolutionary times and catching striped bass? Get that free copy of the March edition. Go through it. You let me know what America's fish really is, shad or striped bass. Other events coming up this week. Going on right now is the Empire State Outdoor Sportsman Show. That's in Suffern, New York. That's from Thursday through Sunday at the Rockland Community College Fieldhouse. That used to be the location of the old World Outdoor Expo, and everybody called that the Suffern Show. The World Outdoor Expo moved, and the Empire State Show went in, so you can still call it the Suffern Show. It's going on now. The Long Island edition, Matt Broderick and crew, they'll be out there in Suffern all week. Make sure you stop by. You can get your subscription to the Fisherman magazine there if you're not coming from north to south for the AC show. On Saturday, March 2nd, the Fish Hawks host their 20th annual fishing flea market, 8:30 a.m. until 1:30 p.m. at Lacey Elks Lodge, 2518. That's at 900 Beach Boulevard in Forked River. Admission is just $5. For details, go visit thefishhawksnj.com. And on Sunday, March 3rd, Manville Fire Company hosts their 28th annual fishing flea market. That's at the Manville VFW Hall at 600 Washington Avenue in Manville. That's from 9 a.m. till 3 p.m. Admission $4. Kids 12 and under, you're free. If you want some more information about that event, call Ed, 908-526-0403. We'll look at a few of the head boat options coming up in the first weekend of March. And again, another fear and loathing event about this state and about the state of New Jersey and what's going on with our recreational fisheries. But first, let's get an idea on what's happening in the freshwater arena. We'll head out and check with George, our Pocono Outdoors guy.
Well, hey, thanks, Jim. You things are warm and breezy now, but I was up scouting over this past weekend, and I was actually up in Wallenpaupack, and the cold weather we had all last week and over the weekend, well, that built enough ice for a few guys to get out and do a little ice fishing, surprisingly. I was down in Tobyhanna, the same thing. They had a bit of ice, but I don't think it was thick enough for folks to get out and safely fish on. So I think this is going to be going in short order, as this week brings 60-degree temperatures and a little bit of rain. Should wash away all that. I certainly wouldn't get out in that thin ice this time of year. We're about wrapping the ice fishing season up. What we are looking forward to, of course, is the trout season on April 6th. I was talking to my trout guru, Eric Goodstall. Well, he's been out still fishing some trout, guys. Now, I know the extended season is closed, but if you can find those Class A trout streams that are not stocked, they are still open. So be sure you check the regs and all the rules before you get out and try to fish any of these trout waters. The regs can get kind of screwy, and we don't want anybody getting in trouble this time of year. Also, within the next couple of weeks, mid-March, guys are going to start picking up the stray shad or two, so we'll be keeping an eye out. Matter of fact, next week we're going to launch the Shad Watch for 2024, so we'll keep an eye on all that action and bring it to you as we see it. But guys, I hope you get out this weekend and get on them. But from Pennsylvania, I'm George, your Pocono Outdoors guy.
From the Pocono Mountains to the Pacific coast of Costa Rica, let's check in with Captain Ben, Jackpot Sport Fishing at a Marina Pez Vela in Capos.
Hi guys, how's it going? This is Ben Gilmore down here in Costa Rica in the Marina Pez Vela with this week's fishing report. Guys, today I just been rooster fishing and caught 7 beautiful rooster fish up to 51 inches, the biggest fish of the day, going about 40 pounds. Most of the other fish in the 20 to 25 pound range also. We got a beautiful cubera snapper today. It's the second cubera we've had in the last few days. Fish between about 20 and 25 pound, just a stunning fish. Offshore, guys, the sailfish bite is insane. Yesterday we caught 14 sailfish and 1 blue marlin. Just one of the best days we've had recently. The day before we caught 9 sailfish, and there's some big yellowfin tuna out there as well. Guys, this is Ben Gilmore down here in Costa Rica, Marina Pez Vela. Come and check us out. Thank you.
So as I mentioned in the early part of this week's program, next Thursday, March 7th, New Jersey Marine Fisheries Council hosts their big March meeting, the one where fluke, sea bass, and porgy gets finalized. It's the only really well-attended meeting where democracy does matter that's held all year. And every March, they go back and forth between holding this meeting in different locations. So I want to try something here. This one's being held in Galloway Township. Now that's mile marker 41 on the Garden State Parkway, right? Cape May is 0. And Montvale, up at the farthest north part of New Jersey, northeast corner of New Jersey, Montvale is exit 172. So halfway between 0 and 72 is roughly 86, right? That would be Toms River. 84 would be the Toms River Toll Plaza, so 84 theoretically would be the middle of the state if they were going to hold a meeting where they had everybody in an equidistant fashion. Now, I've done this little experiment before inside the Fisherman magazine, and I'm going to do it again. It always comes out a little bit differently based on the scale of the map that I use. But I grabbed this map of the state of New Jersey, right, and I went from High Point to Cape May, and I folded it right in half. Right? When I fold it right in half from High Point, northwest corner, down to Cape May, that puts Manasquan dead in the middle, right there. Manasquan is dead center in the middle of the state. But now let's try something different. Take the state of New Jersey map and just take it from the Driscoll Bridge on the Raritan and fold basically Raritan Bay down to the tip of Cape May. Where do we come up with in the middle of the state? It's about North Beach, roughly Stafford Township, Waretown, Manahawkin. So that's pretty much a rationale why the state of New Jersey typically holds these meetings someplace in between the halfway point, these important March meetings. So Manahawkin, Forked River, Toms River, that would make sense. Galloway, the next big meeting to set regs is from 20 to 40 miles south of either of those midpoints. And the room itself at the library is not big enough to accommodate any more than like 115 people. That's why all anglers need to show up next Thursday, March 7th, if you have the ability, so that this meeting is packed with people. Now, in fairness to my buddies in South Jersey, Gloucester, Cape May, here in Atlantic County, I get it, it's closer to home. Most of the meetings that the New Jersey Marine Fisheries Council will hold, they hold them at Naco Creek, which is out of the Port Republic area, because that's close to the Naco Creek is in Port Republic, right next door to Galloway, so that makes sense for a lot of these meetings. But I would tell you that Manahawkin or Toms River makes a heck of a lot more sense to hold a meeting like this where you're getting everybody's input from all over the state of New Jersey. But it doesn't seem like the state of New Jersey, the folks in Trenton seem to care. Now, I am betting there will be a quorum for next week's meeting. I'm sure of it. That means there's going to be enough of the council members in the meeting room to hold a meeting where the fluke, sea bass, and porgy regs could get set. But let's take a look at the fact that there are only 2 sport fishing representatives voting on that council. There should be 4. You've got Captain Bob Rush from Cape May County. You've got Pat Donnelly from Northern Ocean County. You also have Captain Dick Herb. He's from Cape May, but he's the chairman, so he doesn't vote. You don't have, if you were just taking those ocean counties, right? Monmouth, Ocean, Atlantic, and Cape, you don't have anybody from Monmouth, and you don't have anybody from Atlantic. You telling me this is fair? Again, a little vent, because I'm taking a little bit of heat for sharing an image last week about status quo, and everybody's saying, oh, status quo isn't really an option. Well, let's focus on something else. There's no one representing the entire recreational fishing community because the council is short a couple of people. It's been missing 2 seats for 4 years. There's a statute, a state law that requires Governor Murphy to put people into those positions, but he hasn't. So now you've only got 2 sport fishing representatives voting next Thursday, and not one of them is from Atlantic or Monmouth County. That's because Governor Phil Murphy doesn't care. And DEP Commissioner Sean LaTourette, well, he couldn't care less. Dumb and dumber. This is not democracy. This is a clown show next week. All due respect to the council members that are there. All due respect to the division workers that are there. But until the social media world got their knickers in a twist over an image that I shared last week, even though I told you I went into details about this, everybody's gone crazy because the state of New Jersey isn't letting them know. The state of New Jersey should have come up with these images and gotten them out to people 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. We should know what's going on with porgy right now, because porgy was supposed to be approved by the ASMFC and then voted upon already by the council, but Commissioner LaTourette's supposed to sign that piece of paper so our boats can start porgy fishing again. But again, it's New Jersey. I'm the bad guy. I don't know how the council will vote next Thursday. I don't know how the council will register votes from the public, in person, online. I don't know when Commissioner LaTourette's going to sign off on the porgy opening. I don't know any of this. I don't know how else to explain that this is a broken system and it's not taking into consideration the recreational fishermen of the state of New Jersey. But if the state suddenly thinks that 500 people could turn out for next Thursday's meeting in Galloway, I'm sure they're quaking in their boots. So if you can make next Thursday's meeting, let's have a big showing. Let's put a lot of people into that library and show them that our voice matters, because this is a democracy. I'll tell you what else I just found out this week. While I'm here at the Atlantic City Show, Governor Murphy's budget takes $3 million away from the DEP. Where do you think that money's going to come from? I can forecast that in the next several months, as we figure out that the DEP just lost valuable monies for our resources in the state, that somebody's going to come up with a brilliant idea that we need a saltwater fishing license. Next Thursday, 500 people better be in that room, because I'll be there at 4:30 to report on what's going on, and I hope that spots are filled up and they're out in the hallway and they're spilled out into the parking lot, because I'll tell you what, if it's an open meeting, democratic, a state law, everybody's vote has to count. So even if you're stuck out in the parking lot, they have to let you in and speak your mind. Cod, haddock, ling, those are the options you have this weekend if you're heading out on one of the head boats. There aren't many of them running right now. Most of them are getting their maintenance before TOG reopens on April 1st. But I do know that Jamaica and the Paramount, they're going east. They're looking for cod, ling, and haddock. So if that's something you want to line up along the rails and go for, so be it. You've got that option, and pretty soon everything's going to be open. But of course, the big story this week is striped bass. Everybody that is a striped bass fisherman has been waiting for Friday, March 1st. It's going to happen. By the way, Monday, March 4th, 6:30 p.m., Adam Aguiar is giving a talk on spring shore stripers at Gabriel Tackle in Brick, raffles, refreshments, in-store specials. You can go take a look at that cover boy himself, Adam Aguiar, who graces the March edition of the Fisherman magazine, which you'll get by stopping here at the Fisherman booth. We're at 147, 726. We got this whole marketplace surrounded. All the seminars right here on stage. Now, do me a favor, email me next week, over the weekend. If you're doing some fishing, you're catching some fish, email me at jhutchinson@thefisherman.com. Just remember, folks, don't eat the Tide Pods. Don't believe the headlines unless you read the whole story. And as always, thanks for putting up with me and spending time every Thursday with us here with the video fishing forecast for the New Jersey Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine. March Madness is underway. Read all about it in the March edition of the Fisherman magazine. And next Thursday, I hope to remind you about the meeting, but I hope to have some striped bass reports for you as well. Catch them up. I'll see you here in Atlantic City at the Fisherman magazine.